What's up, guys? Today we're going to be ranking the top 10 NBA players entering the 2023-24 season. At number 10, we have Damian Lillard. Last season, he averaged 32 points per game, 7 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. He finally got his trade and got shipped to Milwaukee in a blockbuster 3-team trade only yesterday involving Drew Holiday and DeAndre Ayton. He now gets to be paired up with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I couldn't think of a better fit for his playstyle and abilities. He now has a legitimate chance to win his first championship and will play a key role on Milwaukee's long-term success, having a 4-year contract going into the season. He might have just helped the Bucks maintain Giannis, but now the pressure's on. There's no longer an excuse for Dame not to make a finals appearance at the very least. He's teammates with a former MVP and champion with great depth around him. And now he is still a great player. And while he is 33 years old and getting to the tail end of his career, he is still one of the best shooters in the NBA and one of the best scorers in the NBA as well. So now we'll get to see him alongside Giannis. At number 9, we have Jimmy Butler, who may not be the most flashy player or put up the biggest stats, but within the past 4 years, he's led the Heat to 2 finals appearances. While he didn't win either of them, he's gotten very close and has led the Heat to unexpected finals appearances. This last year, they had to go to the play-in just to play in the playoffs and play the number 1 seed, Milwaukee Bucks, and actually beat them in 5 games. So Jimmy Butler is obviously an amazing player, and he's a playoff player. In the regular season, he only averages about 23 points, but he's still a great playoff performer and comes out clutch when it matters the most. He's one of my favorite players to watch, especially when he gets going from mid-range. This team lost Gabe Vincent in the offseason, but should be able to make another deep playoff run, especially with Jimmy at his best. At number 8, we have Kevin Durant, who's still an elite scorer, and pairing up with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal at this point in his career is actually good for him. Injuries have been a concern the past few seasons, but he's still a top player in the NBA when healthy. If he can play at least 65 games this next season, he will be an all-NBA player once again, and the Suns will be in the running for the number 1 seed in the West. They have so much star power on this team, and Kevin Durant is a catalyst that makes this offense go. Last year, he averaged 29 points per game, and this season, I could see him averaging in the realm of 27 to 30 points per game. He's still one of the best mid-range scorers in the league and has a great three-point shot and can get to the rim at will. So he's a 3-level scorer even at this stage in his career, and I think he has a few years left of elite basketball left in him. The only concern I have with him is the injuries, just because he hasn't been able to play a full season for a while. But at this point in his career, he still has Devin Booker and Bradley Beal to pick up the slack when he is maybe a little bit banged up during the regular season. During the playoffs, though, I think he should be able to sustain his body and be able to stay healthy during the playoffs. At number 7, we have the 38-year-old phenom LeBron James. LeBron will always be LeBron, and even at 38 years old, he's still a top 10 player in this league. While he may not be the same top 3 player he's been for the past 2 decades, he's still a top player in the league, and the combination of him and Anthony Davis are primed to lead the Lakers on another deep playoff run. I can easily see the Lakers getting to the Western Conference Finals, or at least the second round this season, if Anthony Davis and LeBron can stay healthy. They added a lot of talent around those two to be able to take the load off their shoulders if they happen to get a little bit banged up come January, February. But I think if LeBron can stay healthy this year, he can be back at his normal 27, 7-7 kind of season statistically and be an all-NBA player once again this season. It might be a little bit controversial to have LeBron all the way down at 7, but I think at this point in his career, he is in a 1A, 1B situation with Anthony Davis, whereas earlier in his career, he would have been the clear-cut number 1, and that's just due to a lack of the same explosiveness that he had earlier on in his career. He's still very explosive, but he just doesn't have that same first step that he had early in his career. At number 6, we have a guy who broke out last year in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Going into his 5th NBA season, he had been a solid point guard, but this last year he averaged the 4th most points in the NBA at 31.4, and his playmaking abilities have only skyrocketed even going into this summer at the FIBA World Cup of Basketball. So with Chet Holmgren back this year, his assist numbers will go up to replicate his playmaking prowess. And this OKC team is a team to watch come April. I think this team could be really good, and it'll be on the back of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I think I'm really high on him going into this season. The team still has to develop a little bit more to be a consistent playoff team and a high seed in the West, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is ready to be the star on a playoff-ready team. So I'm really high on him, and I'm excited to see where his career can go this year. At number 5, we have a guy who can fill up a stat sheet game in and game out in Luka Doncic, who averaged 32.4 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, and 8 flat assists per game. And the only reason that Luka is this far down the list is A, he hasn't won an MVP in his career, and B, just because his talents are obviously incredible and he's a really good player, but they haven't translated to playoff success. When Dallas brought in Kyrie, Dallas fell all the way from the 4 seed all the way down to the 11 seed out of the play-in tournament. Luka is incredibly talented, but needs to take a step towards leading a team come playoff time. That's the next step in his promising young career. When people put other talent around him in Kyrie Irving, yes, Kyrie Irving can be a little bit problematic at times off the court and on the court, needing a lot of shots, but Luka needs to learn to lead a team going forward if he wants to take that next step in his career. His talent alone has got him to number 5 on this list, but an MVP and a deep playoff run or multiple deep playoff runs can shoot him up the list really fast. At number 4, we have the reigning MVP in Joel Embiid, and you might ask, how is the reigning MVP at the number 4 spot? But the only reason he slid this far was his inconsistencies and the fact that he failed to show up in big games. He was out in key games against high-profile players like Nikola Jokic in the regular season, and during their playoff run to the second round where they lost to the Boston Celtics after being up 3-2 in the series, he disappeared in Game 7 where the team needed him the most. And not only did he choke, James Harden also choked in that playoff series, but Joel Embiid is supposed to be the top player on that team, and in the Game 7, he only scored, I believe, 15 points, and that's not acceptable for a player who won MVP. So that drops him down the list. He's never made it out of the second round, and for a player who's an MVP candidate in and year out and just won an MVP, he needs to be able to deliver in the playoffs. He's played with guys like James Harden, Jimmy Butler, prime Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris throughout his career, and now he needs to deliver come playoff time. It's not due to a lack of support. It's because he just hasn't stepped up to the plate when he's needed to. But he's obviously still an incredible player. At number 3, we have the greatest shooter in basketball history, Steph Curry. He still averaged 29.4 points per game last year, as well as 6.3 assists, and is very clearly still a top 3 player in the NBA. I believe he's the best point guard in the NBA right now, and with the addition of Chris Paul, the Warriors still have an open championship window. Steph is still the best three-point shooter in basketball and controls a whole game and forces a defense to game plan around him. An MVP bid this season would not surprise me out of Steph. He's still one of the top players in basketball, and I believe he's the greatest point guard of all time. In the number 2 spot, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who over the last couple seasons has solidified himself as a top 25 player of all time. And Giannis has a very impressive resume within the past few seasons with 2 MVPs, a championship, and a finals MVP. After a first-round exit as the number 1 seed, I'm waiting to see how Giannis and the Bucks respond. Giannis is obviously a great player and has a shot at MVP this year. Dame Lillard will obviously really help with a deep playoff push and complements Giannis' game perfectly. Dame and Giannis are comfortably the top duo in the NBA entering the season and have a chance to get Dame his first ring. They're the only pair of teammates that I have that are both in my top 10 list this season. And at number 1, we have Nikola Jokic, who will be my number 1 until someone proves otherwise. He nearly averaged a triple-double during the regular season last year and ended up winning a championship and a finals MVP. In the last 3 years, his resume includes 2 regular season MVPs, a championship, and a finals MVP. He also very well could have won a 3rd straight MVP this past season, averaging, like I said, nearly a triple-double. Jokic is the best player in the world right now, and his dominance in 2023 has been unmatched in recent years by a big man, especially in the playoffs. Him and Jamal Murray just work so well together, and they're nearly unstoppable when they're going at even 90% of what their capabilities are. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm nearly at 100 subscribers, and I'm trying to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. So I'm going to be trying to post consistently throughout the next few months. So make sure to follow along for the journey. God bless.